Hey, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of the Titletown podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Melissa Burns.
Hello, everybody. My name is Craig Stanton.
Craig, I'm going to give you an early Merry Christmas.
Hey.
Since this will be our last episode before the holiday. And Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everyone out there, too.
Yeah. I agree.
You share the sentiment. Excellent.
Yeah. Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy Hanukkah, all that stuff.
Today we are going to talk about the abysmal Patriots loss from this weekend. Yeah, that sums it up. That's the episode. Done.
I hope you enjoy it quite a bit, listeners. I know I did.
Take some joy from our misery. That's all you can do.
All right. Well, enjoy. Later.
Bye.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Titletown Sports Podcast, pre-Christmas edition.
Yeah, 6 days out.
6 days out. We're counting it
As
down,
we record.
baby.
I'm excited.
This is either episode 60 or episode 59 for the second time. Melissa, do you want to tell him? Do you want to tell him what happened to the forgotten episode 59 from last week?
Yeah, so we were recording remotely, as we're also doing tonight.
As we do. You from the Titletown satellite offices in Quincy,
Yeah,
me from
in
my
Quincy.
car like a vagrant.
Yeah, like a homeless person. Nice. And yeah, we
Behind the
ran
Domino's.
next to a dumpster, probably. We ran into some technical difficulty, and somehow my half of the recording got corrupted and could not be played as a file. So we could have posted an episode with just Craig talking to himself and probably laughing like a maniac occasionally with no context as to what was said on the other side.
A lot of gaps. A lot of long gaps. A lot of long pauses.
In fact, when we were trying to fix it, I was playing other recordings that we've done to my husband, and he was very confused as to why he's like, what's with the gaps? And I was like, Craig's talking.
It is a little weird to have it separated like that. So,
Yeah.
Alas, there was no episode 59.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think our listeners can probably imagine what it was we were talking about. We were bitching primarily about that Miami game, which was a total disaster.
Yeah.
Luckily, similar tone to this week's episode.
Yeah, things
I
didn't
think you'll
change
find.
much. Yeah. I think the TLDR of last week's episode is we were pissed.
Yeah. So luckily, we can just sort of carry over those thoughts into this week because not a lot has changed.
Yeah. You want to tell us about the Patriots this week?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so this week in Patriots land, things went from sort of bad to worse after the, like we said, fucking devastating loss on the final play in Miami. The Pats hit the road to face their perennial AFC rivals, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Although this is generally a tough game, the Steelers have not beaten the Patriots, or had not beaten the Patriots, I should say, in a regular season or playoff game since 2011.
Wow.
Until Sunday. 17-10 was your final at Heinz Field, and the Patriots have now fallen to 9-5 on the season and 3-5 on the road. This marks then just to fucking add insult to injury the last 2 weeks. This is the second time that they've shipped the hats and t-shirts down. Second time in as many weeks where the AFC Championship hat and t-shirt game eluded them, as they have still not clinched the division, and they also haven't clinched a playoff spot.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Their hopes of winding up as the 2 seed, though, aren't like totally destroyed. They do need Kansas City, LA, and or Houston to fucking drop a few games. And this week they all have tougher matchups than the Patriots do. They're playing the Bills in Foxborough, who suck. KC has the Seahawks on the road. LA has the Ravens at home. Houston travels to Philly to play the Eagles. So those are like not pushover games. I mean, of the 4, the Pats definitely have the easiest one.
Yeah, I would agree.
But we'll talk a little bit more about that later. In other Patriots news this week, I guess you could look at this as a positive. Tom Brady and Stephon Gilmore were named to this year's Pro Bowl. And we also got some news today about some Tom Brady injury rumors. But That's a big league tease. More on that later on in the episode.
Yeah, the rumors are swirling. Moving on to the Bruins, who a couple of weeks ago we thought might be in free fall. But they're now 4-3 since they got their asses whooped in Florida by the lowly Panthers. They dropped some big ones to the Penguins and Sabres, but they did also have some impressive wins, including a 6-3 win at home against Toronto, which was a nice game, and most recently a big 4-0 victory in Montreal. Bruins are sitting firmly in the middle of the pack of the Eastern Conference playoff picture, but are looking up at Buffalo, Toronto, and Tampa in the Atlantic Division. This week, we saw the return of Charlie McAvoy and Brandon Carlo. We are missing Zdeno Chara and Patrice Bergeron, but they were at full practice today, and they were full contact at practice today.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Very positive news.
That's extremely positive news.
Yeah. And then, the Bruins grind kind of continues this week with games against Anaheim, Nashville, and New Jersey.
And the game after that is the fucking Winter Classic, New Year's Day.
Fun.
That will be at Soldiers Field in Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago. There's like a gentleman's agreement in hockey that like you can't trade people around the trade deadline or around Christmas.
Is that so? I was not aware of this.
So there's like a trade stoppage around the holidays.
A trade moratorium?
Yeah, so that people aren't like uprooting their lives right around Christmas. So you won't see any movement from the Bruins over the next week or two. But maybe after the Winter Classic, especially when they get everyone back and healthy, we might see some moves coming if they need another defenseman, or definitely someone that can score would be helpful.
Yeah, some secondary scoring would be good. Although one of the things that's been interesting about Bergeron being out, just like a quick line on that, is they moved David Krejci from the second line to the first line. So Krejci was, for a lot of the time that Bergeron's been out, he replaced Patrice Bergeron on that Marchand, Bergeron, Pasternak line. So you have David Krejci now playing in between Bergeron and Pasternak. And they've just, it took a couple games to kind of like figure it out. But for the last few games, that threesome has been as good, arguably, as they were when Bergeron was there. So there's been some speculation about, okay, well, if you know that top line is going to be sick no matter who's centering it, whether it's David Krejci or Bergeron, maybe you stick Bergeron on that second line where Krejci was and really wasn't having a whole lot of success. And Patrice Bergeron automatically makes anybody he's playing with better. So maybe that brings a little more scoring out of Jake DeBrusk and whoever else is on the other wing there.
Yeah.
So that was like a little call. That first line apparently is good with or without Patrice. It's just like you got to have a competent setter there, but there's just enough talent that it can work. So maybe just that little move could
that could be nice. Could get them some scoring out of another line, which is what they really need.
Yeah, that's what they desperately need. Even when they're healthy, that's what they need. Anyways, big week for the Bruins. How do you feel about those Winter Classic jerseys? Have you seen them?
No, I didn't see them.
You haven't seen them? Oh, that was a couple weeks ago. We sort of missed it on the podcast, but they're like the old 1930s style. Picture white sweater, big brown B in the middle, no spokes, just a big ass B.
Oh yeah.
They're sort
I just Googled it.
Lovably ugly.
Yeah, they are very 1970s Pittsburgh Pirates.
Oh! I was gonna say it's not 70s Bruins, but you're right.
Yeah,
so,
I'm out on that.
You're not into them?
No, I'm not into them.
If I'm ranking my Bruins Winter Classic jerseys, it goes from the Gillette Stadium ones, which were the black. They still wear those as third jerseys now.
Yeah.
I like these ones in second place. And the first Winter Classic that they did at Fenway in 2010, those ones were awful. They were yellowish with a very cartoony looking B. It was not good.
Oh, I remember those. Oh, those were terrible.
Yeah, those weren't great.
Yeah, no, I'm not into that.
Anyways, okay, let's move on.
Yeah.
So the Celtics.
Yes.
So for clarity, it's what is it? Wednesday night.
Yes.
And the Celtics just lost to the Suns. Which sucks.
Oh, dear.
I was writing up this little recap while that game was happening, so just put yourself back in time before that game happened. Don't look now, but the Celtics won some games over the last few weeks, he said. The Celtics ripped off 8 wins in a row before they got beat on Saturday by the Detroit Pistons. Some highlights of this now dead win streak were beating the Chicago Bulls by the largest point differential in team history of 56 points.
Incredible.
Gordon Hayward dropping 30 off the bench against Minnesota. Beating the Anthony Davis-led Pelicans at home with a scrub lineup that had no Baines, no Irving, no Horford, and no Hayward. Kyrie Irving hitting 2 ridiculous three-pointers to seal it in overtime against the Wizards. And the emergence of Celtics rookie Robert Time Lord Williams as a budding big man. And now to what happened tonight, which is they took on the Phoenix Suns, the shit-ass Phoenix Suns at home. This is, again, Wednesday night.
Yeah.
And got beat, so that's not great. Some late breaking news, which is also not great from this game, is that Celtics big man Aaron Baines broke his fucking hands on the rim. Or hands, not hands.
No.
He broke one hand.
Yeah,
dunking.
singular hand.
Literally, it was like a lob from Kyrie Irving, and it was an uncontested dunk, and he just slammed it down and came up like in obvious pain. Actually, stuck his hand out to like, high five or whatever is whoever the fuck it was, which was a dumb move by him, and got like whacked on the hand and then just immediately like buckled over in more pain. And then like during the game, they were like, yeah, he fucking broke his hand. He's fucked.
Oh my God, that sucks. Why do the Celtics keep having these freak injuries?
That's a weird one. Break your hand on the rim. Like, yeesh.
Yikes. Anyway.
And again, it was an uncontested, like he had a clear lane to the hoop. It was like, you see
didn't get pushed, didn't get hit.
Yeah, nothing weird. Just cracked it off the rim.
Oof.
So anyways, won 8 in a row, lost 2 in a row. I mean, Detroit's not a good team. The Suns aren't a good team. So that's a little disheartening. This week they've got the Bucks, which is a little scary, the Hornets, and then they've got the 76ers on Christmas Day.
Oh, nice Christmas Day game. How lovely. Turning our attention to the last team in town, the Red Sox. Basically, almost nothing happened this week.
Literally nothing.
Yeah. But last week, if you'd gotten that episode, you'd know that the winter meetings were held in Las Vegas. There were rumors that the Sox were listening to offers for pitcher Rick Porcello, center fielder Jackie Bradley, and shortstop Xander Bogaerts. But general manager Dave Dombrowski denied these reports and said the Sox aren't looking to dump payroll, but are trying to retool for another World Series run this year. We'll
Get
see.
him, Dave.
Yeah, we'll see. There was also a report that Craig Kimbrell wants to be the highest paid closer in history, looking for a $100 million 6-year contract. And basically, to the surprise of no one, he is still an unrestricted free agent. Amazing.
You don't say.
Also, last week saw the departure of Sox reliever / Yankee fighter and World Series hero, Machine Gun Joe Kelly, also my neighbor. Bye. He is signed with the LA Dodgers on a 3-year, $25 million deal. Big money for Joe Kelly coming out of the LA.
Big money for Joe Kelly. Yeah, good for him. I just,
Yeah, good for him. Bad for the Dodgers.
He was responsible for some of the worst and some of the best relief pitching performances I've ever seen in my life. All in 1 year. In fact, all within like 3 months of each other.
Also allowed me and my father-in-law to have a great argument at family dinner about whether or not he sucked.
Well, because once you found out he lived in Quincy, that means he's automatically a nice guy who deserves respect.
He's one of our people. Are you kidding me? How dare you talk ill of him?
Well, he's gone now, so fire away.
Look who is right now.
So a lot's been going on in Boston, sports wise, certainly. But we're gonna probably spend most of our time this episode talking about the Patriots, as they are. First of all, they are in what appears to be a fucking free fall, at least by their own standards. And also, you and I haven't really had, I'm trying to think of the last time other than last week that we really dug into some Patriots stuff. We've obviously a couple months ago we had playoff baseball, then we got into some, the Celtics struggling early and things like that. And throughout that time, it was sort of more of a normal Patriots experience where they were winning a fair amount of games. So we're gonna dig in on the Pats and see what the fuck is going on. Quick update on my recording this episode in my car behind a Domino situation. A gigantic truck has showed up. I was just getting buzzed around by delivery drivers for a while, but now there's a giant truck, and they're unloading what I can only imagine is a shitload of frozen ass pizzas. But I'll be keeping my eye on them for quality control.
Oh my god!
Oh, look
it's a
at
lot
that
of fucking
pallet!
pizza.
Holy shit! This is a peek behind the curtain for
You're getting way too
sure.
much inside information about Domino's.
Yeah, no more than I ever
making me
thought I'd
hungry.
need or want. All right, so this week, the Pats lost to the
Yeah.
Steelers, as we all know. It was
Brutal.
a fucking frustrating game. What was it? Do you have any like initial takes just like coming right out of that?
It was just frustrating to watch. Like, we've seen the Patriots lose before, and it's not pleasant. Like, nobody wants to see your team lose. But this was just like, it felt like they were so close every time. And like the defense giving up 17 points to Pittsburgh, like, you can't hold them accountable for what happened there. They had some good special teams play. Like, and then I just feel like the offense like never was clicking. Like, they just couldn't, they'd move the ball great and then couldn't seem to get in the end zone. And like, we're just giving it up every fucking time.
You know what's been driving me nuts recently is it feels like the Patriots can't score outside of like the opening drive of a game
Yeah.
or a half. Like they like for those who may not know, like I never knew this until I learned it. Like they go into each week with an opening drive like script. Like they know exactly what plays they're going to run in what order, and like assuming they execute, they're going to march the fuck down the field because they have a good idea of what, you know, it's like it's the only time in the game where you know more or less where you're going to get the ball from.
Right.
You know probably what the score is going to be, or at least what it's going to be close to. You know, you can be no more than 7 points behind by the first time you get the
Right.
ball. You know, so like they script that shit. And in the Minnesota game, they scored on their opening drive. I think in the Miami game, they at least got points on their opening drive if they didn't score a touchdown. In this game, they got points on their opening drive. But like, so that like when you start off these games, you're like, all right, here we go. And then it dries up so freaking fast. And they are just absolutely, they scored 10 points on Sunday.
Yeah,
10
it was
points!
embarrassing.
The fucking Patriots, 10 points. That's brutal. And 7 of them came on the opening drive. Like, what are we
Right.
doing?
Then they spent, 48 minutes doing nothing.
And if I had told you that last week, if I had said, Melissa, the fucking Patriots are going to go into Pittsburgh and they're going to hold Ben Roethlisberger, Antonio Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, we're going to hold them to 17 points. Who wins that game?
Patriots.
Patriots every time.
Yeah.
10 out of 10. Oh, you're going to hold them to fucking
30 I'd be
17
like, oh, it's
points?
30 to 17.
Brady,
Nice.
Yeah, Brady and the Patriots need to score 20 to win. Like,
Yeah.
done deal.
Okay.
They'll win that game
Easy.
going away.
Easy. No.
And they obviously didn't do it. And it's just wild to me that when you look at the roster, I mean, when you look at who they have available on offense between Rob Gronkowski, Julian Edelman, Josh Gordon, James White, first round pick, Sony Michel, Tom effing Brady, like, and you get 10 points?
Well, and they were just killed with penalties too. Like, it felt like every series it was holding. I can't even think of anything else.
Yeah, well,
now.
it was
All
a
of
lot.
sudden-
It was a lot of
holding calls.
illegal formation this
Yeah.
and holding that
Yeah,
and
it
false
was like-
starts here, and it's all
false
this
start.
like
That's the word I couldn't think of. And it's
you
all at
can't
the
even blame the
line.
refs.
Right. And it was all shit at the line. Like, so it's just, that's to me like mental mistakes because they're not, that's not like, oh, the refs are calling it tight and like they're calling a ton of pass interference, downfield. It's like you are giving up yards because now you're taking away whatever momentum you'd made and you're backing up. And like that last series of the game where they ended up getting backed up 10 yards because of a holding call. And I think it was on
so
Shaq Mason.
frustrating.
It was so frustrating. And then Tom Brady goes for the same play 4 plays in a row, and it didn't work any fucking time.
Oh,
And
play? You mean the play where he throws the ball to fucking Kareem Abdul-Jabbar 10 feet over Rob Gronkowski's head? Great play.
Yeah, exactly.
Love that play. Love that
Yeah.
play. Let's see more of that down by the goal
throws
line.
his own field goal.
Fires it into the first row of the seats.
I just was like, you can get a first down. Like, you're not 3rd and goal right now. You could get a first down, get out of bounds, and get 4 more plays. Like, why is that not an option?
Yeah, just a little check down to James White by
Yeah.
the sideline.
Oh,
I
he
don't know
was
why they didn't do
wide
that
open.
12 times.
Their entire fucking defense was standing in the end zone. because, stupidly, like the Patriots did the week before, assumed it was going to be a Hail Mary. Oh God. It was making me bonkers.
It was a concerning loss. I mean, like, it's one thing, like let's like just quickly, like going back to like Super Bowl 52, right? Where it was knockdown, drag out, points flying all over the board, like basically comes down to the last possession in like
no defense showed up.
Yeah. I mean, like, this just didn't feel like that type of game where it was like, it's one thing to lose, but it's another thing to just not be prepared, it seems like. Like, the things that we historically, typically, usually applaud and lavish the Patriots with praise over is just the little things that they do well, like being prepared and not being penalized. And we, like, laugh at dumb teams for doing dumb shit. Like, I don't know. Did Mike Tomlin have like a dumb idiot moment in the Steelers game? Like, if he did, I missed it because, like, the Patriots never put the Steelers in a position where they really had to like panic. Yeah,
and Mike Tomlin didn't do anything boneheaded, which is what you would have expected. He might have tried to challenge a play that was unchallengeable, but I don't. Whatever. It doesn't matter because that's not what we're walking away talking about, which it should be. Like, oh, Ben Roethlisberger made a stupid throw. He got picked off twice by Harmon, and still they couldn't capitalize on it.
Yeah, I mean, really, just like it's
Pittsburgh tried to.
It was there for them. Yeah, it was right there for you.
Yeah. Anyway.
So I was stirred by an article in the Globe this week by old friend of the pod, Ben Volin. I think it was either Sunday or it was either Monday or Tuesday. I forget which, but he wrote an article. The headline says, "Meet the suddenly ordinary Pats." And the most impactful thing to me is all the parallels between, this year and 2009, which is generally regarded as the worst year in the Brady-Belichick era.
Right.
A couple excerpts that stuck with me from the article. He starts by saying, the Patriots have entered unfamiliar territory in the 2018 season. They've lost 5 games for the first time since 2009. They're scoring their fewest points at 26.7 per game since 2009. They have a losing record on the road for the first time since, wait for it, 2009. The season is by no means over. The number 2 seed, which comes with a first-round bye and second-round home game, is absolutely still within reach, but this year's Patriots game is struggling like we haven't seen in nearly a decade under Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. And then he goes on to kind of recap the offseason where we obviously saw Nate Solder and Danny Amendola and fucking Dion Lewis and all these players walk out the door. But there's some numbers in here that are sort of startling that aren't just player personnel type things, such as Tom Brady has his lowest passer rating and most interceptions since 2013. He's 25th among quarterbacks against the blitz, which is crazy. Usually Tom Brady destroys teams who blitz. Yeah. They bring extra pressure and he gets the ball out in a second and a half to some wide open person who was supposed to be covered by someone who's running at the quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah.
He says Rob Gronkowski looks slow and stiff. I agree. And is on pace for a career low in touchdowns and receiving yards per game. This is a fucking wild one. Buckle up for this fucking stat. Julian Edelman's 7 drops are tied for the second most in the NFL, and he missed the first 4 games of the season.
Oh my God.
Second most in the NFL, and he missed 4 games.
That's brutal. Oh, I didn't even realize that.
Isn't that so bad?
Ooh, that hurts.
So just a couple more on just the offense. I mean, I didn't get into any of the defensive stuff because I think we all know the Patriots defense isn't the strength of the team, but the offense presumably should be, has been. I don't know. So a couple more things. The Patriots are currently number 7 in the NFL, just gross scoring, which would be their lowest ranking since 2008, which is the Matt Castle year.
Interesting.
Their downfield passing attack is in dire shape, and Chris Hogan's 63-yard touchdown run this past Sunday, where he was wide his ass open, was their longest play of the season, but it's only the 50th longest play in the NFL this year.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, it's just
God, they're so mediocre.
Some of those, they are so mediocre. Like, that's what that tells me. It's like they're just another team. Like, they are just a team fighting.
Middling playoff team. Scrapping to get in. Oh.
But the 2009 stuff, it's like, and for those that, may not remember, that was the year after Brady tore up his knee, so he comes back, and they were a little out of sorts. That was Randy Moss's last year with the Patriots. They traded him mid-season. Their playoff performance was Wild Card Weekend at home, where Ray Rice ran all over them, and that game was that game was over before it even started. They got blown out at home by the Ravens. Probably the worst playoff loss, I would say, of the Brady Belichick era, just in terms of like the degree to which you got smoked.
Yeah, it wasn't even a contest, which could very well be what this year's playoff looks like too.
Yeah, and I mean, something that I feel like we always need to remind ourselves is that, fortunately, the Patriots aren't playing their former selves this year in the playoffs. They're playing the other teams in the AFC, which, like, I don't know. I mean, I don't feel great about any game against the Chargers or the Chiefs or even the Texans. I don't know. Like, I don't feel great about anything with the Patriots right now, but I'm not, like, shaking in my boots. Like, there's no dominant team out there.
Yeah, they've all shown that they're fallible at this point. Like there was a time in the season where you were like, oh shit, this Kansas City team might be legit, but they've dropped some big games and they've come back to earth a little bit. And I think for sure the Texans always kind of come back down. And the Chargers are pretty real, but like, they're still the LA Chargers. So I'll believe it when I see it. I don't know.
In the playoffs.
Yeah,
anyways.
Exactly.
I agree.
Yeah, they're good. They're a great regular season team. But like, what have they done in the playoffs? Like, what has Phillip Rivers ever been able to accomplish in the playoffs? And it's nothing.
Not a whole lot. I mean, but I was talking about this with my Indiana Colts fan friend the other day. We were talking about the Chargers. And in one of the things with Phillip Rivers is that in the years that he was at his best, also that happened to be a lot of the same years where Tom Brady and Peyton Manning were at their best in the AFC.
It does kind of suck for him.
I think he gets a bit of a tough draw just because his teams were like B pluses while the Colts and the Pats at that time were like A pluses.
Yeah, they weren't
but
bad.
Anyways,
he was just not going to get any credit or publicity.
Yeah, I mean, nobody in the AFC playoff picture has a reputation for being like a ballsy playoff winner. Maybe with one exception, and that's Ben Roethlisberger, but we've seen him lose. So I can name 3 or 4 gigantic, like awful losses, like last year against Jacksonville, that equal or outnumber the amount of big wins. But you've got Bill O'Brien and Deshaun Watson in Houston. You've got Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes in Kansas City. Phillip Rivers, and I don't know who the coach of the Chargers is in LA, and fucking Mike Tomlin's rock-headed ass, and Ben Roethlisberger getting all rapey. Like, historically, I'd take Tom Brady and Bill Belichick over any of those bums. But like this year, I don't fucking know, man.
If they end up winning out and going 11-5, I'm fairly confident that was the same record they had in 2008, which was the Matt Castle year. And it's like,
that is correct.
Jesus. So way to go, Tom. I get it. Tom Brady's 41. Like, Matt Castle was a young guy at the time. But,
that was also largely the same team that had gone undefeated the
year before.
Yeah.
But 11-5 is not where we expect. But this is the same team, basically, that went to the Super Bowl last year.
That's a very good point.
So, it's just interesting to look at it with that context that it's also funny to think like, oh, when Matt Castle won 11-5, we were like, whoa, great season. I can't believe he was able to pull that off. And now this team might do it and we're like, well, these bums, they're losers. The dynasty's over.
Dude, the other thing too is like, I expect them to win out, but I'm honestly a little afraid of this Bills game on Sunday.
Me too.
This Josh Allen kid they have at quarterback.
Oh.
I've only seen highlights, like, to be clear, like I haven't watched like a full fucking Buffalo Bills game.
Haven't?
Forgive me. But the highlights of this guy running around he's an animal. He's going to get hurt, like probably like before this podcast even posts because he runs with such reckless abandon. But like, maybe assuming he survives on Sunday, he is gonna run all over the Pats. It's gonna be fucking brutal.
Yeah, their run defense hasn't necessarily been their strength this year.
No, and they're terrible. They're bad against mobile quarterbacks.
And
straight up bad.
Runs like a gazelle on the plains, like just anywhere he wants to go.
Just wait, Patriots fans. He's gonna catch you all by surprise. Like it's you haven't fucking heard his name very much, and neither had I. But like this kid's gonna fucking run wild on Sunday. All right. So what about this injury thing? You want to talk about that?
I do. Mike Giardi was on Toucher and Rich, I think this morning.
Yeah, it was this morning. He was on Wednesday morning.
And he was talking about like how Brady has looked just like his lower half, so his legs, have been off going all the way back to the Tennessee game. He said, I would not be surprised when all is said and done that we hear something about either, I'm guessing it's an MCL. I'm saying he has a tear or a partial tear of the MCL, and that's why he's still playing. Do you buy that? Do you think that Brady's out there playing hurt?
Yeah, I mean, I really do. I mean, it's funny though, because like I think that like most football players, Tom Brady has had injuries and played through injuries plenty of times in his career. But what's different about this year is like you can see in some of these plays, like you saw it in the final series against Pittsburgh this week, you can see the evidence of a guy whose primary goal is self-preservation. Yeah. Like he's ducking out of throws. He's rolling out to his left when there's like very little pressure on him. You know, there's just kind of traffic around the pocket, but no like one pass rusher necessarily like breaking away and getting home. And he's just bailing, straight up bailing out of some of these throws. And previous versions of Tom Brady would hang in there and hang in the pocket and deliver a fucking strike. And I just don't, I guess what I'm trying to say is like, I don't believe that the only difference between then and now is the fact that now he's got a hurt knee. You know, like he's had injuries before. Of course he has. Whether or not we've known about them is separate, but like he's hung in there like just like anybody else would late in the season. And you know what I mean?
Yeah, but if we
but this year he's just not doing it.
Well, and if we didn't know the severity of the injury, I also heard an interesting statistic kind of supporting Giardi's theory that he is actually getting less pressure than the majority of the quarterbacks in the league. In fact, he's the 5th lowest in being pressured on throws.
So just like the total amount of pressure he's faced is 5th lowest among quarterbacks in the league.
So like 24% of his throws, he's facing pressure. And watching him, you would think that it's 100% of them. The way that he's bailing out, it feels like he's making quick decisions. He's not doing his full like read to find out who's open. Like we just talked about him like missing wide open guys. Like dude is like waving a flag at him and he's not seeing it. And to me, that's like because he's just trying to get rid of the ball because he's afraid of like being hit or losing the ball or that's what it looks like to me.
Yeah, I was listening to Greg Bedard on the Sports Hub this week, and he was talking about Gronk's numbers being way down this year, and he was like, "Yeah, I mean they don't design short routes for Rob Gronkowski. Like they have him running like like decently long, like 10, 15, sometimes 20-yard patterns, and like Brady can't hang on to the ball that long, and it's not because he's getting pressured." Like you were saying, it's just because he wants out. Like he's just like, fuck this shit. I don't have time to wait for Gronk to like make his break, 15, 20, 25 yards down the field. Like he's just not hanging in the pocket and allowing those plays to happen.
Right. He's not like trusting that he can let the play kind of build in front of him and that he's going to have an opportunity to make a throw. And I think that hurts the Patriots. Like that's what they're good at. And he's always been known for his pocket presence and like not releasing the ball too soon. And, he, knowing how to fall, like his pliability helps his body know how to fall and absorb the shock from it. But this year it just feels like he's just quick to release it. And that's going to be a problem for them because if you know that's like, if that's what the tape is on Brady, then you know who to defend. Like you're going to run your defense differently because you're not going to worry.
Cover James White. James White out of the backfield because no one else is going to be open downfield. And if they are, it's not going to matter because Brady will have bailed by that point.
Edelman will drop it. Gronk won't be able to hit his route before Brady's like tossing it down.
I couldn't believe that Edelman stat. I mean, he gets targeted a lot, like to be clear, but to be second in the league in drops and you've missed a quarter of the season, like that's bad with 2 games remaining. Well, I mean, I guess the rest of the league has 2 games remaining too, so that's not really fair. But yeah, I mean, you missed a quarter of the season, over a quarter of the games played that everybody else has played so far. It's like, yikes.
Yeah.
Hey, so we got a call this week.
Yeah, let's hear it.
And actually, we should also say too that we should we have an apology to our Dolphins fan caller,
Yeah.
Dan the Dolphins fan, who got the opportunity to call into our show and rub our noses in the Dolphins' victory last week, but unfortunately, that was also the week that is lost to the
ether,
the digital artifacts
it's
of life.
somewhere, but never to be recovered.
Sorry, buddy.
But
maybe next
Dan,
year.
you were right. You win.
Or you know what will happen, Dan, when the Dolphins win out this year and the Patriots drop the last two and the Finns win the AFC East, then you can really fucking go nuts.
Oh,
Anyways, so we have this caller this week who did not identify himself. So this is just our mystery caller who had a bunch of takes and got actually cut off by our voicemail system. So we're just gonna let him roll and respond to what he's got to say.
Well, when it comes to the Patriots, I definitely like to point out how bad that our road performances have been. Something that kind of confuses me is how good we've done on the road and like how well we've done on the road the past couple of years. For example, in 2016, 8-0 on the road, 14-2 record, amazing performances on the road by the Patriots. 2016, a little bit worse, but only by 1, 7-1 on 2017. But now, being at 3-5 on the road this season, just I don't really know why. I mean, I guess you can say the bright side is, we are good at home instead of losing at home like we did the past 2 years.
Let me just stop him right there. Yes, mystery caller, whose name we don't know. I'm a negative guy. I don't know if I look at the fact that they're good at home as justifying them being bad on the road. I mean, they're always good at home. So like that, once that stops happening, then the dream is dead. But I didn't realize that in 16 they were 8-0 on the road, and 17 they were 7-1 like that. And where did those teams end up? The fucking Super Bowl. That's where they ended up. Like that's staggering. To go from 8-0 to 7-1 to 3-5 is not good.
Yeah, I think that's a big concern. They say like good teams win on the road, and I think
and they're right.
And more specifically, I think prepared teams win on the road. Like that, you go into someone else's house and you can beat them. That's because you know what they're going to do. Like you understand their makeup, you understand what their game plan's going to be, and you have a strong game plan to combat that. And it just doesn't feel like that's what's happening with the Patriots this year.
Yes, especially when you think of just in order of when they happened, like the losses anyways. Jacksonville, they got destroyed. Detroit, they got destroyed. Tennessee, they got destroyed. Freaking Miami was a game, okay, fluky ending, but they didn't play great. I mean, they played well enough to win, but like whatever. Out to lunch on the final play. And then this Pittsburgh game where they fucking scored 10 points. Like, say what you want about how the rest of it played out, but like, these are not like I was saying, like the Super Bowl analogy, like these are not like,
shootouts,
down to the wire, like, oh man, like could have gone either way. Like that's not how it's been happening.
No.
Anyways, he goes on.
Another thing I'd like to point out is Rob Gronkowski. He, as a whole, we haven't been targeting him enough as he has been double covered a lot. He's having a bit of a down year, not having as many catches, touchdowns, and stuff like that. And you can also tell in some of the games that we lose, James White is always not getting enough receptions. I don't really understand why we don't continue to feed James White. He is such a big part of this offense to this team, yet we don't seem to utilize him as much as we really used to. For example, like mostly in 2017, we utilized him so much. Sonny Michel, obviously, after losing Dion Lewis, I really like Sonny Michel.
So he gets cut off shortly after that as he goes on to make a point about Sonny Michel that doesn't get finished. But the James White thing, I 100% agree with the caller, where I don't know where he's been for the last couple weeks, but he hasn't been getting the ball very much.
Yeah, and I mean, we kind of talked about the Gronk point of like why Gronk hasn't gotten the targets, and it's because it's almost because Brady's not giving him the time to flesh out the play. But yeah, the James White thing is weird because you would think that like with Brady bailing out a play soon or sooner, James White would be his primary target because he tends to be there for that like quick grab.
Yeah, the check down. I mean, it's the check down is that's the most. That early in the season, that felt like, before we had Gordon and before Edelman came back, like that was basically the Patriots offense. It was little checkdowns to James White. That was the only thing they had that was going for them. But yeah, he's been quiet. I mean, I haven't gotten any sense that he's been hurt.
Yeah.
So if they want to put him on ice and wait for the playoffs, that is fine by me. But as long as in crunch time they start going his way.
Him. Yeah, if you're gonna put him on ice, fine. But then use him when he comes back. Like I think the caller's right. There's so much opportunity to get James White involved, and like he's scrappy and like tough to take down, and just feels like, you know, what we've come to know as a quintessential Patriots player, like multiple positions, can do anything you ask, and yet he seems to just be kind of like being left to the side, and I don't know why.
Yeah, it's frustrating for sure. And just a quick reminder to anybody that's listening, you too can get on this podcast if you give us a call. The number is 904-87-TT-POD, TTPOD. You can leave us a voicemail any old time. Give us your takes. And as long as we're recording successfully, your call will get on the air. But whoever this caller is, good takes. I like it. Call back. Give us your name next time.
Tell us who you are. One last question for you, Craig, unless you had anything else you wanted to cover before we move on to our lightning round.
No, fire away.
So, Patriots have 2 games left. Bills and the Jets.
Yes.
Typically, both at home. Typically, I would say, like, yeah, easy. Mail it in. 2 wins. But how you feeling this year?
For these 2 games? So, well, I am legitimately nervous about the Bills game. I really, really am. Like, I don't know, you know, what's going on in that locker room. I don't know what the tone is or the tenor or how they're approaching this game. But I think we're going to learn a lot about what kind of Patriots team we have on Sunday. But I do think this Josh Allen guy is going to just fucking run wild, and assuming that he can survive the whole game. Because like I said, reckless abandon is the only way to describe the way that this gentleman plays the game. Yeah, so I'm legitimately nervous about that because if they lose, I don't even know.
If they lose,
up is down, black is white. Like, I don't.
If
even
they
know.
lose one of those games and end up 10-6, they're gonna need to like close the Zachem because people are gonna be trying to jump off it.
Oh my God, yeah, they're gonna have to put a
brutal.
bunch of floaties in the Charles. The other thing too is that Jets game they played, so they beat the Jets in the Meadowlands. Like that was a good road win.
Sure,
but keep in mind that game was fucking what's his name, Josh McCown.
Yeah.
That their 40-year-old backup quarterback, like that wasn't even their real guy. Like I forget who started the Bills game earlier in the year. That game was trash. That Monday nighter.
Oh shit, who was that? It doesn't matter.
It wasn't Peterman.
No.
But it doesn't matter. Yeah, so the 2 quarterbacks we're going to be facing in the final 2 weeks of the year with the Bills and the Jets, they haven't faced them before, and they both have promise.
Yeah.
Like Josh Allen and Sam Darnold, like they can play. So I don't know. I'm uncomfortable with it though, particularly the Bills game. But one thing I will say too is that it's. We've always known that the Pats have gotten a little bit of a leg up because their division's been
bad,
poor historically. But this is the first year in a long time that I can say like they needed the division to be terrible, or else they'd really have a tough race for for their division or for the wild card.
Yeah, they're fortunate, and some of those teams, to your point, like Josh Allen and Sam Darnold, look like they could bring those teams kind of into the next era as we're waning, and it makes you real worried for like what Patriots AFC East standings are going to look like in the near future.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And it's like, I'm not saying that these guys are like the next big thing, but they're young and mobile and can play. Right. They can play. Like they both deserve to be in the league, it seems. And like, not a lot of tape, not a lot of game experience against them. Like, I don't know. It just and the Patriots seem vulnerable. Like,
yeah, it does make you nervous because they come in with like hope and a glimmer of like, we can take down the Patriots. Yeah, let's do it. And like, you're not indestructible anymore.
Yeah, seriously.
Oof.
How do you feel? Are you nervous, or you think it's going to be like business as usual? Crunch them in July.
I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm gonna go with because I'm not nervous because like at the end of the day, I try to remind myself like it is still the Patriots and like it is still Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, and like I trust that they can beat the Bills and the Jets, but I also thought they could beat Pittsburgh, and they didn't. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
but I'm gonna go with 2 wins. I'm gonna call 2 wins.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, if I had to bet on it,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what the spread is on the Bills. I might take the Bills, but if I had to bet on it, I would take the
Yeah,
Pats.
if you guys
in
had a
both
bet a
games. Yeah,
winner.
I agree.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
All right. Let's get to this lightning round, shall we?
Yes.
All right, lightning round. Here we go. We got to keep it quick.
Okay, we'll try. We're terrible at keeping it quick. But this week, Tom Brady and Stephon Gilmore got named to the Pro Bowl. Exciting.
Hooray.
This is the first time the Patriots have only had 2 players named to the Pro Bowl since 2008, as we mentioned before, the Matt Castle year. Is this a sign of lack of talent on the Patriots roster or stars underachieving, i.e. Gronk, Edelman, McCourty, etc.?
I think it's primarily, I mean, because again, it's a Pro Bowl, right? So, like, I think primarily this is stars underachieving, which is why they're not represented here. Like, the Patriots have plenty of Pro Bowl caliber players on their roster, you know?
Yeah.
But they certainly aren't performing like it. So I think this is more. I mean, I do think that there is a lack of talent on the Patriots roster,
Yeah.
to be clear. But in terms of like names that would be in the Pro Bowl, like your Gronks, your Edelmans, a lot of people are getting all bent out of shape because James Devlin wasn't on the Pro Bowl. Matt Slater had gone to
Whatever.
like 7 of the last 8 or something like that.
Yeah.
Like these are all takes reserved for people who give a shit about the Pro Bowl. But I do think it speaks to like how poorly they've been playing. And honestly, I'm not even so sure Tom Brady deserves to be there this year.
That was more what struck me about it. As I was like, Tom Brady, really? I don't know.
Gilmore's been balling though. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
he's been
him and Trey
playing lights
Flowers.
out.
Trey Flowers was the other snub.
Yeah,
I thought.
I think so.
All right, Melissa.
Yeah.
This question was in last week's episode, but it never saw the light of day. So I'm going to ask you again. Last
Yes.
week, an expansive ESPN Outside the Lines report on the food served at North American pro sports stadiums was released. They ranked all North American sports venues from worst to best, sorted by sport. And it was basically like they went into all these places and like gave a bunch of violations for a bunch of gross shit. So
Ugh.
the best venues just had the least violations.
Okay.
You'll be glad to hear that the TD Garden, Fenway Park, and Gillette Stadium were all in their respective sports top 10
Oh, nice.
for best/cleanliest / least problematic food vendors. And just as a fun PS, Yankee Stadium was the worst in Major League Baseball. So my question to you, Melissa, is: do you mess around with stadium food? And what's your poison, if so?
I do. I'm always good for like a beer or 2. I think that's important.
Sure.
And then when I go to,
I think that's important.
I just want to set the record. And then when I go to eat something in a stadium, I feel like it needs to be real finger food, like a hot dog or popcorn or a pretzel. You can't eat like you can get like chicken fingers and French fries. It's too much to balance and work with. Like I just can't do that. I can't. I would like that as a meal, but not in a stadium setting. Also, my one complaint about stadium food is the size of the slice of pizza at the TD Garden. It's inedible. It's far too big, and there's no way to hold it and eat it respectfully.
Oh, good bang for your buck on that slice.
Yeah,
though.
it's the whole length of my arm. I'm like,
It's like a World Series pennant.
whacking the guy in front of me with my fist while I'm trying to eat my pizza. Anyway.
I highly recommend checking out that article for anybody that's listening. That was very interesting and very disgusting.
Yeah, it might give you a good idea of like what ballparks to go visit if you wanted to do like a away game somewhere.
Or not visit.
Yeah, or not. Carolina Panthers safety Eric Reed was randomly selected for a drug test following Monday's 12-9 defeat at the hands of the New Orleans Saints. According to Reed, this is the 7th time he's been tested, despite appearing in just 11 games for the Panthers this season. You may remember Reed from his social activism and decision to kneel during the national anthem a few years back. He was actually the first player to kneel with Colin Kaepernick in 2016, when the two former 49ers began drawing attention towards issues of racial inequality and police brutality. Is the NFL seriously dogging Eric Reed this bad? And why are they so goddamn obsessed with these anthem kneelers?
I have no idea why they're so obsessed with the anthem guys. The NFL is seriously fucking dogging Eric Reed this bad. It does not
Yeah.
make any sense to me why they are targeting him in such a overt way. The guy's been tested 7 times and played 11 games this year. Like, that's crazy. And just, there's a lot of bad dudes in the NFL, man. Like, we in the age of social media and everybody having cameras and video recorders in their pockets at all times, like, we are exposed to some of the shenanigans that NFL players and really anybody in public life get into in their personal time and off the field. And like, we have a much better understanding now than we ever have before of like the degree of just rampant domestic abuse and violence towards women, wives, girlfriends, children in some cases. Like, it's brutal. And like the NFL chooses to make sure that this dude is like walking the fucking straight and narrow because he protests police brutality. It's nuts.
It boggles my mind where they choose to like lean in and give a guy a hard time. It's just more evidence of the NFL not knowing what's really important at the end of the day.
Seriously.
Anyway.
All right. In a less frustrating story.
Much funnier.
Unless you worked for NASA in the past. This week, Golden State Warriors point guard Steph Curry made a like offhanded comment on some podcast about how he thought the moon landing was fake. This caused a lot of fucking ruckus in the basketball/space community. And one of the people who actually reached out to Steph on Twitter was former NASA astronaut Scott Kelly, who spent 520 days in space across 4 different missions. He did not, however, go to the moon.
Oh, well, then what does he know?
Well, the two ended up having a 16-minute discussion on Instagram Live with one another, where they talked about the Apollo program, which were the moon landings.
Yeah.
NASA in general, space flight, and the importance of inspiring kids to care about science, technology, engineering, and math, among other things. Steph Curry said that his podcast remarks were a joke and that he was taken aback by the stir that they caused. So my question to you, Melissa, is, was this a joke gone wrong by Steph, or is this another NBA flat earth type conspiracy theory that he's just walking back because of the bad press?
I think it was probably legitimately a joke. The like faked moon landing is one of the biggest conspiracy theories out there. Like, there are tons of like conspiracy theory people that all say that it was faked and it was just a put on to like increase nationalism at the time. And so I think it probably was just a joke and him not seriously believing it. But, you know, it's not so out of left field. Like, people talk about that as like a thing.
Yeah, I mean, at least that's like a known.
Yeah.
He's like playing the hits on conspiracy theories.
Right.
You know,
it's like saying the Illuminati, you know, created something. Like, okay,
yeah, well, I'm not
really
even sure what they're supposed to have done.
I don't know what they do.
Or like aliens built the pyramids.
Well, that probably is true, but
that's something I firmly believe.
Yeah, like I, you know, and I think this Scott Kelly guy's looking at it all wrong. He should be looking at it as like, hey, if we haven't landed on the moon, kids should be more excited about science because, like, you know, there's a pretty achievable goal they could go right after right now.
You want to hear a fun conspiracy? Fun conspiracy theory I heard about this conspiracy theory.
Yes.
Where was the outrage from NASA when all the flat earthers were talking about the Earth being flat?
Ooh.
Do they have something to hide?
They
got to fucking bee in their bonnet when Steph Curry's talking about faking the moon landing, but Shaq and Kyrie Irving and shit are going off for years about the Earth being flat, and they're like,
just laughing their little butts off. Oh,
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
You know,
maybe they were afraid to engage. Maybe they were just they wanted to keep their secrets safe.
Oh, you think they believe in the flat Earth thing?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's the conspiracy theory.
I thought you were saying like a whole like thou doth protest too much, and that it was like why are they all protesting that this must be true? You know?
No.
Oh.
I think the conspiracy theory is that NASA was like suspiciously silent on the flat Earth.
Oh,
but they got all jammed up with the moon thing.
So we went to the moon from.
You would think
from
they'd
our
get
flat
jammed
planet.
up on both. Yeah, we just jumped off the disc and landed on the moon.
I saw a thing. This is so unrelated, but I saw a thing the other day that was like, people around the world believe in the flat Earth theory. And then someone else was like, say that back out loud to yourself.
That's classic.
Yeah. All right. Getting back to sports. Last week, Washington Capitals forward and captain Alex Ovechkin scored 7 goals in 3 games, including back-to-back hat tricks in games against Detroit and Carolina. This has started some conversation about the possibility of Ovechkin possibly breaking Wayne Gretzky's coveted career goal record. Just for your reference, Gretzky had 894 career goals, which is nearly 100 more goals than the player in second place. Gordie Howe with 801. I love Gordie Howe. Ovechkin has 636 career goals and has been in the league 14 years. That's an average of 45 per year. He's 33 right now, and Gretzky retired at 38. If Ovechkin can stay on his 45 goal per year pace, he can break the Great One's record if he plays until age 39. Simple question. Can he do it?
Well, the man is a fucking animal, Alex Ovechkin is. And he's obviously a goal-scoring machine. He's been that his whole career. The thing that he's changed most recently, he's actually found out how to win in the playoffs and be a good leader of the team.
Yeah.
But I don't know, Melissa, if you've ever explored this. I'm sure Capitals fans have, but Alex Ovechkin, he literally, these have all been reported, well-established facts. He basically eats an entire chicken parm dinner with pasta and breaded chicken and shit before every fucking meal. Before every game. He drinks soda on the bench.
Wow.
He has a water bottle with Dr. Pepper in it on the bench in NHL games in which he's scoring back-to-back hat tricks. This guy is out of his fucking mind. And so I don't know how many goals he's actually scored, but we just did the math of it's on pace for 45 goals per year. He's got if he can keep that up,
drinking his Dr.
he can
Pepper.
play till drinking his fucking pop. Yeah, I think he could. Gretzky played a long time, but he didn't play insanely long.
Right.
He retired at 38. He probably came into the league at 18. So that's a clean 20-year career. Nowadays, that's not uncommon. Gordie Howe was the opposite. Gordie Howe played until he was mid 40s. He played wicked long. But yeah, Ovechkin is right there. If he can just keep his current pace, he's just got to crank out 6 more years, 7 more years, and he's right there.
Yeah, and that's entirely doable. A lot of guys play to their mid 40s now. That's not a stretch for him.
Yeah, he's not going to be that. Look at Jágr.
Right,
The thing that I didn't put in this little thing is Jágr's third. Jágr's got 776 on that list,
Jesus.
if you can believe it.
And he's not going to score 45 goals when he's 42, but
Hell
if his
no,
production
he's
drops
not
to
with that
20,
fucking diet.
I don't know. Maybe it's working for him. He's a 12-year-old boy diet. He's working.
Dude, you got everybody out there. Just Google Alex Ovechkin diet. You'll be blown away.
Wait, now I want to know where the Washington Capitals rink falls in the list of concessions.
Oh, stadium
Yeah,
food?
is it a good, safe place to eat? What kind of poison
Good
is he adding to
question.
himself?
Let's just look it up real quick.
Okay.
Oh, Verizon Center is worst in the nation for NHL.
And he's just
no,
tucking into it every night.
And he's just cranking undercooked chicken parms into his fucking big Russian face and lighting the lamp every fucking night.
It's working for him. I say stick with it. Stick with it,
They're
Alex.
literally
Don't let anyone
worse.
turn you.
Literally, they were the bottom of the fucking
Oh
NHL.
God, we
That's
couldn't have even
hilarious.
planned that if we wanted to.
Yeah, alley-oop.
Yeah.
All right, last question for you. Last week, it was announced that Philadelphia Eagles quarterback Carson Wentz had a fractured vertebrae.
Yikes.
And that he will be presumably missing the remainder of the regular season and playoffs if the Eagles are so
like
fortunate to
safe
make the
bet.
playoffs.
Yeah.
This means that your friend and mine, Super Bowl MVP Nick fucking Foles is back in the starting job for the Eagles. This week, no big deal. They just went on the road against the best team in football, the LA Rams, and won with Foles taking the snaps. This is a Boston sports podcast, and we're certainly not here to pump fucking Nick Foles' tires. So instead, we're going to focus on the fact that he, in a press conference today, took questions from the media wearing fucking toe shoes, like a weirdo.
Oh God.
Those little glove, little toe glove
They're
shoe
individual
things.
toe things.
Yeah, it was very weird. He was wearing khakis. They were beige-colored toe shoes. Not even your traditional black toe shoe.
They were beige colored?
Garment. They were like Desert Storm, beige. with khakis, cuffed khakis. It was not a strong look. He was
my
asked about them. He
God.
said that his wife did not approve of the of bringing these out of the house.
Yeah.
But he wore them to fucking work anyways. So
Damn it.
I don't really have much of a question here. The Patriots have lost 2 in a row. Nick Foles out here wearing fucking toe shoes, and I just don't know how to deal with reality right now.
Yeah, okay.
What's your take on toe
First of all,
shoes?
burn all toe shoes. They're disgusting. And
What's your take on Crocs?
I don't wear Crocs. I understand people that might like to wear them around their house in their yard, but like don't wear them in public and don't put those fucking pins in them, whatever that is. That's weird.
Well, then how are you going to know your Crocs from your buddy's Crocs?
Yeah, I guess. You write your name
When you're hanging out at each other's
Yeah.
houses drinking milk together or whatever
write your
Croc
name
wearers
inside
do.
with a fucking Shappy if you gotta. But like, Jesus Christ, Nick Foles, you should have retired 2 years ago when you wanted to. You had to come to the stupid Eagles and ruin our lives. No, nobody wanted
What
that.
a weird guy.
Yeah, I'm not here for it. Get your fucking toe shoes out of here, you gross ass. And you're wearing them with khakis, like you're not wearing them with workout clothes. I just assumed he was in like workout attire.
Yeah, that would have made sense. Maybe he's got foot issues or whatever. He likes the barefoot running thing, but you don't want to be like strolling around barefoot. I could halfway buy that.
Yeah.
Nope.
You're wearing them as like shoes.
Cuffed khakis.
Like you're gonna go to the mall and do your Christmas shopping in them after. Don't do that.
He was
God.
probably on his way to fucking King of Prussia.
Like nude ones. That's like it's like your Bigfoot, like running around in the forest, just all leaving footprints for
with your loose toe hairs
Ugh,
flying
God,
all over the place.
Disgusting. Anyway, I can't talk about him anymore.
Yeah. All right. Let's wrap this thing
All
up,
right.
shall we?
Yeah.
So Bills week this week, Bruins and Celtics on the back burner for now.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens on Sunday.
Yeah, we'll see how quickly
at
they
Gillette.
take center stage, depending on how
Seriously.
things go. But you can interact with us. Definitely feel free to call us, leave a voicemail, let us know your feelings, get it out. You'll feel better. The phone number is 914-87-TT-POD.
Very close. 904-87
I always try to make it an
POD.
so 904-87-TT-POD. I always try to make it an 800 number, so I don't know.
Yeah, those are more expensive. Anyways, you can also get in touch with us on Twitter or Instagram at Titletown Pod on both those platforms.
Yeah.
You can also tell a friend if you're a fan of the show and you feel like someone might enjoy it. Give them the gift this Christmas season of the Titletown Sports Podcast.